Chapter 1. What the Korean channel actually did before it was politely executed. Let's get something straight before anyone pretends to be confused. The Korean language channel wasn't about entertainment. It wasn't about vibes. It wasn't about healing. It was a public autopsy. For years, that channel did one unforgivable thing. It described reality without anesthesia. It talked about Japan's economic stagnation without tourist filters. It talked about middle-aged people being discarded like expired convenience store bentos. It talked about women aging out of visibility, men aging out of employment, and a system that pretends this is all very dignified and orderly. It talked about dispatch labor pretending to be full-time careers. It talked about fake meritocracy. It talked about how stability in East Asia usually means quiet suffocation. It talked about pornography not as fantasy, but as an economic exhaust pipe. It talked about marriage as a financial downgrade. It talked about nationalism as a coping mechanism for declining purchasing power. And most importantly, it talked about who benefits from silence. That alone was enough. YouTube Korea doesn't delete misinformation. It deletes clarity. The moment content smells like social critique, systemic analysis, or political discomfort, it's gone. No debate. No warning. Just a polite corporate execution, followed by silence. Which brings us to the uncomfortable comparison people pretend is taboo. South Korea. North Korea. Different uniforms. Same allergy to dissent. One uses slogans and missiles. The other uses community guidelines and vague emails. Same instinct. Control the narrative or erase the narrator. Yes, I'm Korean, and yes, that's exactly why I'm saying this. Same bloodline, same fear of internal criticism, same obsession with harmony over truth. So let's stop pretending this was an accident or a misunderstanding. The channel wasn't deleted because it was wrong. It was deleted because it was coherent. Which is why this is no longer a Korean language project. Why this channel is now English only. Spending time on a Korean platform that punishes thought is like lecturing in a room where the walls report you. It's inefficient. English isn't just a language here. It's an exit. This channel is now aimed at people who don't need euphemisms. People who understand that neutrality usually protects power. People who can handle long arguments without cliffhanger edits and fake outrage thumbnails. If you're still watching, congratulations. You're already filtered in. And yes, this is a long-form project. 2 hours at a time. No mercy cuts, no algorithm-friendly nonsense. If that bothers you, the door is wide open. The internet is full of reaction videos and smiling lies. Housekeeping, because reality costs money. Let's be brutally honest for 10 seconds. Channels like this don't survive on vibes. They survive on support. Subscribe. It tells the algorithm you're not afraid of thinking. Like the video. It pushes this content past people who'd rather not see it. If there are products linked, buying them keeps this channel alive. Not as a hobby, as an operation. No fake humility here. If this channel dies, nothing replaces it except silence and listicles. This was Chapter 1. What the Korean channel did. Why it was removed, and why this project no longer asks for permission. Next chapter goes further. Much further. Chapter 2. YouTube Korea is not a platform. It's a behavioral correction facility. Let's stop flattering the system with the word platform. YouTube Korea is not a place where ideas compete. It's a place where acceptable personalities are cultivated. Say the wrong thing and it's not debate you face. It's disappearance. No strikes explained in human language. No specific timestamps. No meaningful appeals. Just an email that reads like it was written by a nervous intern, coached by a lawyer and an HR department. This isn't moderation. It's conditioning. You are trained slowly to understand what not to say. Criticize individuals? Fine. Criticize trends? Maybe. Criticize systems, structures, or incentives. That's when the lights flicker, especially if you connect dots across economy and gender labor and mental health nationalism and poverty aging and disposability. That combination is radioactive. Why? Because Korean platforms don't fear lies, they fear frameworks. A lie can be corrected, a framework spreads. Once people understand that their personal suffering isn't personal failure but systemic design, the spell breaks. Productivity drops. Deference weakens. Silence becomes expensive. So the system intervenes early, not loudly, quietly. Deletion is the modern form of "we never said that." The Korean taboo stack. There are topics you can talk about individually. Just never stack them together. You can talk about low wages, declining birth rates, aging population, housing costs, mental health, job precarity separately. The moment you say, these are connected, and someone benefits from pretending they aren't, you're done. Because now you're not complaining. You're accusing. An accusation implies responsibility. Korean digital space does not tolerate responsibility. It tolerates endurance. Why satire terrifies this system. Satire is dangerous because it doesn't ask permission. Facts can be argued with. Statistics can be buried. But satire slips past defenses and infects pride. You can't counter satire without explaining yourself. An explanation is exactly what power avoids. That's why this channel leaned into mockery. Not because it's funny, but because it's efficient. Mockery collapses hierarchies. It makes respect optional. And nothing scares a Confucian bureaucracy more than optional respect. Let's be clear about the North-South comparison. People get emotional here, so let's slow down. No, South Korea is not North Korea. One has elections, one has better food, one lets you complain until it matters. The similarity isn't in severity, it's in instinct. Both systems believe criticism is destabilizing, harmony is more important than truth, internal dissent is betrayal. Different tools, same reflex. The North uses fear directly, the South uses career risk, reputation damage, and algorithmic erasure. Same result, people learn when to shut up. Why English changes everything. English language content isn't brave by default. It's just harder to police. Too many eyes, too many jurisdictions, too much plausible deniability. That's why this channel isn't translating the Korean content. It's rebuilding it without local restraint. No cultural apology tours, no to be fair paragraphs, no tiptoeing around national pride. If an argument holds, it holds globally. If it doesn't, it deserves to die. That's the standard now. Reminder, this is not free work. This kind of content is expensive in every sense except money, time, risk, burnout. So yes, again, subscribe if you want this to continue. Like if you want it to spread. Buy what's linked if you want this channel to stay operational instead of symbolic. Moral support doesn't pay hosting fees. Algorithms don't respect principles. This was Chapter 2. How platforms discipline thought. Why satire is treated like contraband. And why English is not a preference, but an escape hatch. Chapter 3 goes after something even more sensitive. The audience itself. Chapter 3. The audience is not innocent. It is trained. Let's commit a social crime and say this out loud. Platforms don't silence creators alone. Audiences finish the job. Not maliciously, not consciously. Through conditioning. Years of algorithmic grooming have produced a very specific viewer profile, especially in Korean language space. Reacts emotionally, not analytically. Consumes outrage, but rejects explanation. Loves critique as long as it has no conclusion. Demands balance only when power feels uncomfortable. This isn't stupidity, it's training. The average viewer has been taught to treat ideas like snacks. Short, sweet, disposable, no aftertaste, no consequences. So when a channel shows up and says, your exhaustion isn't individual, it's structural, the response isn't curiosity, it's irritation, because now the viewer has homework. Why long-form terrifies modern audiences. 2-hour videos are not inefficient. They're unforgiving. You can't skim them emotionally. You can't clip them into comfort. You can't pretend you basically get it. Long-form forces a choice. Stay and think, or leave and preserve your excuses. That's why people beg for summaries. That's why they ask for the point. The point is the process. Understanding systems requires stamina, and stamina has been bred out of digital culture. The silent contract between viewer and platform. There's an unspoken agreement. The platform promises, I won't make you uncomfortable for too long. The viewer promises, I won't ask why my life feels smaller every year. Creators who break this contract are labeled negative, divisive, too political. Why are you so angry? Anger is not the issue. Duration is. You can be furious for 30 seconds, just not coherent for 120 minutes. Why this channel refuses to babysit. This project does not exist to reassure you. It does not exist to validate your identity, protect your national pride, confirm you are one of the good ones. If you're looking for affirmation, there are thousands of channels optimized for that emotional transaction. This one offers something less marketable and more dangerous: context. Context ruins comforting myths. That hard work is fairly rewarded. That silence is maturity. That suffering is evenly distributed. Once you see the pattern, you don't get to unsee it. That's why many people clicked away from the Korean channel before it was deleted. Not because it was wrong, because it was inconvenient. English-speaking audiences are not smarter, just less policed. Let's kill another fantasy. This isn't about Western superiority or enlightenment. English audiences are just as distracted, just as algorithm trained. The difference is density, more noise, more subcultures, more room for things to slip through. That margin is where this channel lives now. Not because English viewers are braver, but because the system hasn't finished domesticating them yet. If this makes you defensive, good. Defensiveness is a sign of collision. Something you believe just ran into something you recognized. Sit with that instead of commenting about tone. Tone is what people criticize when they can't refute structure. Operational reality check, again. Let's repeat the boring truth. If you want this channel to continue, subscribe, not later, now. Like the video. It signals tolerance for discomfort, support through purchases if available. This is infrastructure, not merch. If you don't, the outcome is predictable. Another deletion, another silence, another, why does no one talk about this? People don't talk because talking is punished. Listening is optional. Support is rare. This was Chapter 3. Why audiences are trained to reject depth, why long form is an act of defiance, and why this channel will not negotiate its existence. Chapter 4 dismantles the most sensitive illusion of all, neutrality. Chapter 4. Neutrality is not a virtue, it's a disguise. Please stay neutral. That sentence is the lullaby power sings to adults. Neutrality sounds mature, reasonable, civilized. In practice, it's a delay tactic used by people already comfortable. Neutrality doesn't mean you're above the fight. It means the current arrangement isn't hurting you enough yet. And platforms love neutrality because neutrality never asks who benefits. How neutrality actually works. Let's translate. When someone says, let's hear both sides, what they mean is, let's slow this down until attention moves on. When they say, this is too political, they mean, this threatens someone with leverage. When they say, why are you so extreme? They mean, you're speaking in complete sentences. Neutrality is not balance. It's non-interference with power. The algorithm's favorite personality. Type YouTube does not reward truth. It rewards low-friction engagement. The ideal creator sounds concerned, but never decisive, criticizes symptoms, not causes, asks questions, but avoids conclusions, never names winners and losers. That creator survives. The moment you say, this system produces predictable victims and predictable beneficiaries, you've crossed the line from content to analysis. Analysis threatens monetization. Why this channel refuses the neutral mask. Neutrality would require pretending that deletion is accidental, precarity is personal failure, censorship is safety, silence is maturity. That's not restraint. That's collaboration. This channel is not anti for entertainment value, it's anti-pretense. If something is structured to fail most people, calling that out is not extremism, it's literacy, the cowardice of just facts. People love to hide behind facts. Just present the data. Let viewers decide. Cute idea. Completely dishonest. Facts don't speak, they're arranged. Choosing which facts to show is already a position. Omitting context is also a position. Just facts usually means facts that don't imply responsibility. That's not objectivity. That's fear with spreadsheets. Why English is where neutrality finally cracks. In smaller language ecosystems, neutrality is enforced socially. Everyone knows someone. Reputation travels fast. Silence is rewarded. English language space is too big for that comfort. You can't shame a crowd that doesn't share one dinner table. That scale allows something rare. Arguments that don't apologize for existing. If you're waiting for a disclaimer, this is it. No, this channel is not neutral. It never was. It takes sides, with people crushed by systems they didn't design, with analysis over slogans, with explanation over comfort. If that disqualifies it in your mind, good. That means you understand the rules. Once more, because survival is boring but necessary. You know the drill by now. Subscribe if you want this channel to keep existing. Like the video if you want this kind of content to outrun suppression. Support through purchases if offered. Servers, tools, and time cost money even when morals are free. Silence is cheap. Consistency is not. This was Chapter 4. Why neutrality protects power. Why just facts is a myth. And why refusing to choose is still a choice. Chapter 5 is the last one in this opening arc. It doesn't analyze platforms, audiences, or language. It talks about what happens next. Chapter 5. What happens next, and why this won't be comfortable. Now that the Korean channel is gone, something interesting happens. Nothing collapses. Nothing improves. The world keeps moving with the same indifference it always had. That's the first lie people believe about censorship, that removal creates order. It doesn't. It just removes witnesses. Silence is the default outcome. When a channel disappears, viewers briefly feel outrage, creators feel exhaustion, platforms feel relief. Then silence fills the gap. No replacement analysis, no follow-up discussion, just more content optimized to keep people busy but uncurious. This is how decline becomes invisible, not denied, just unspoken. That's why this project doesn't mourn the Korean channel. Mourning implies something ended. It didn't end. It relocated. This is not a rebrand. It's an escalation. The English channel is not a safer version. It's not toned down. It's not translated. It's sharpened. What changes? Fewer cultural apologies, less concern for local sensibilities, more explicit naming of mechanisms, longer chains of causality. No maybe. No on the other hand. If something functions like suppression, it gets called suppression. If something benefits from silence, it gets named. This is not optimism. It's accounting. Who this channel is actually for not everyone. Never everyone. This channel is for people tired of being told their problems are personal, people who sense something is wrong but hate slogans, people who can sit with discomfort longer than a comment section. If you want reassurance, this is not it. If you want distraction, the algorithm has you covered elsewhere. If you want structure, consequence, and memory, you're in the right place. Why there will be no soft landing. Some creators pivot after deletion. They become gentler, more vague, less political. That's survival strategy. This is not survival content. The assumption here is simple. If clarity shortens lifespan, then a longer lifespan wasn't worth much. Channels die. Arguments don't. About provocation. People will say this channel is provocative. That's a misunderstanding. Provocation is saying shocking things for reaction. This is worse. This is saying predictable things that people were trained not to connect. Nothing here is radical. It's just assembled, and assembly is what power fears most. Final reality check. If you've made it through all 5 chapters, you already know this, but repetition helps memory. This channel only survives if you subscribe and stay. You like content that makes you uneasy. You support materially when possible, not because the creator is special, because systems don't tolerate unmonetized resistance. Attention without backing is applause. Applause disappears fast. No conclusion, just continuation. There is no hopeful wrap-up here. No, things will get better. No, stay positive. Those phrases exist to end conversations. This channel exists to extend them. The Korean channel was removed because it spoke too clearly in a small room. This one speaks clearly in a larger one. That's the only difference that matters.